Chapter 25, Hall of Mayors. Let's zoom in on the Broadacre City Hall once more, although we'll focus this time upon a nearly forgotten room, high in the building that the public never sees. Pass through the locked door on the fourth floor marked Authorized Personnel Only, and float on up the stairs. Things don't look institutional here. The plain taupe walls and vinyl flooring have given way to crumbling brick and dark wood. It's the old part of the city hall, the area that no one cared enough about to ever refurbish. Rather than fluorescent overhead lights, there are bare bulbs, with pole chains dangling from the ceiling. We won't need them, though. Plenty of light streams through the porthole windows set high in the walls. We enter through a lonely wooden door at the south end of the attic. Once the great hall was flanked with oil paintings and marble busts of the city's past mayors. A few years back, someone decided that the space, as it shaped the first impressions of those who entered, needed an update to be more in tune with the times. Market research suggested the silent, staring sculptures gave people the willies, or something like that, so oversized television monitors were installed, playing a constant loop of upbeat music and slides featuring information about the weather, area events, and historic tidbits, while the busts and paintings were relocated to this forgotten storeroom. Rather than neat rows they once enjoyed, everything was jumbled and left just where it was dropped. At least they could still enjoy each other's company and discuss current events. At least they hadn't yet been sold at auction and recycled into bookends, or heaven forbid, hat racks. "How are you fellows feeling about the newest inductee of our small but illustrious group?" asked the bust of Louis G.T. Griffith, the first mayor of Broadacre. Anyone who may have happened along and somehow caught a glimpse of the talking statuary would find it disconcerting, so they limited their conversations to the occasions when the attic was empty, which was most of the time. "He's a little young, don't you think?" replied Howard Harvey Schwartz, mayor number 11. "I was but 33 when I was elected for the first time," sniffed Lewis. Earl F. Orr, the 13th mayor, joined in. "Of course, life expectancy was only 35 years back in your day, Lewis," he called. "Oh, stop," Lewis said. "It was not. Assuming you didn't catch the consumption, living into 160s was not at all uncommon, you oaf." Shouted Oscar Riley, the 9th mayor of Broadacre. His oil painting had tipped over and he lay face down on the floor. "Someone should really set poor Oscar upright again," said Lester Sweeney Maxwell, Mayor 9. "It's just not befitting a man who gave so much to our city." Mayor Orr's marble bust said, "If only I had some arms, I might be able to help out." "At least you have a head and shoulders," Mayor Schwartz said from his painting sadly. "Oscar and I are completely flat, two-dimensional." Then he brightened. "Although it always consoles me to note that we don't bear a striking resemblance to the singing busts of the Haunted Mansion at Disneyland like you fellows. So that's a bonus." "Har, har," said Lewis. "Only the 1000th time I've heard that joke. Bunch of buffoons, all of you." "Oh, you tire of our company, Lewis," said Lester. "Well, in a few short years you'll have someone else to gripe at." "Jimmy Moon. I'm looking forward to his arrival. Surely he'll bring some decorum to this elite club." "Sure," said Harvey. "Decorum. Moon'll probably be disappointed that it's an all-male party here and that there aren't any attractive women to screw up against the wall." "You really needn't remind me of those sordid incidents." "Don't pretend that you are without failings of your own, Lewis," said Harvey. "We each have them." "I seem to recall," said Lester, "that you allowed a couple of Negroes to be dragged from the county jail and strung up on the courthouse square. No trial. Just looked the other way." "Well, if you'd seen the looks on the faces of the people in the mob, you might not act so high and mighty. They would have had me swinging up there if I'd tried to stop them," Lewis said. "At least I'm not the one with 3 illegitimate children to which I never owned up." Muffled laughter came from Oscar's painting. "Mwah, mwah, mwah, mwah." Laugh all you like, Oscar, said Lester. We all know about the money you embezzled from the city coffers. Hey, said Harvey. I thought you said we weren't going to bring that up anymore. Oscar cackled again, but Harvey ignored him. Anyway, the point is that we all have something in our past that we wish we'd done differently. I suppose that living forever has its downside, said Lewis. Every now and then I wish I could just be forgotten. Wipe the slate clean, erase myself from the history books. It can be a curse. I hope this DeKalb kid thinks about that before he does anything untoward, Lester said. But look at all the good things we did too, said Mayor Orr. I was in office for less than 2 years before I died, and in that short time I built a new library, new bridge over the river, enlarged the fire and police departments. I annexed the surrounding communities, said Harvey proudly, expanded Broadacre in every direction, kept the city alive during the Depression. Indeed, Oscar, said Lester, and I'm pretty proud of my work on the courthouse square. Oh, and don't forget the old streetcar system. That was my idea. Quite good, said Lewis. Of course, my legendary deeds hardly require mention. As the first mayor of Broadacre, I set all of this into motion. And so modest, too, said Lester, rolling his eyes. Your words betray your jealousy, Lewis replied. Regardless, I can only hope that this young man does as well as we did. I'd be happy if he does half as well. If the entire city doesn't go to pot during his term, I'll be thrilled. He'll do fine, said Earl. Give him a chance, you'll see. He can always come visit us if he needs any advice, Harvey said. The mayors laughed heartily until the wooden door opened, and a maintenance worker entered the silent storeroom carrying a large cardboard box. The expressions of the subjects in the paintings were stern and unmoving, while the eyes of the marble busts stared, lifeless, into infinity.